Okay, so when you think of a shipping container, what comes to mind? Probably just a simple, boring steel box, right? Well, that box is actually one of the most important pieces of equipment in our entire modern world. Let's dive in and see why this humble container is really a high-tech, specialized toolbox that makes our global economy tick. So it really all starts with the sheer scale of this operation. I mean, just look at this. These absolutely massive vessels are the real workhorses of global trade, carrying pretty much everything we buy, sell, and use across the oceans. The number of containers on just one of these ships is just staggering, and this is happening all over the world, every single day. And to really put that into perspective, get this. This number is the container fleet size of just one company, CMACGM. That's over 2 million TEUs, which stands for 20-foot equivalent units. We're talking about an immense, constantly moving global inventory of these boxes. So that brings up a really important question, right? Our world needs to ship an incredible variety of stuff. You've got fresh food, heavy machinery, huge amounts of liquids, you name it. Can a single one-size-fits-all box really handle all of that? Well, the answer, as you've probably guessed, is a big no. And that's where things start to get really interesting. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the baseline, the most common tool in the toolbox. This is the container you see everywhere. It's the universal workhorse of the shipping world. So here's the official definition, which is based on the ISO standard. And the keywords you gotta focus on are totally enclosed and weatherproof. This thing is designed to be a completely secure, sealed environment to protect whatever is inside from the elements during a really long journey. Yeah, it might look like a simple box on the outside, but its entire purpose is to carry the basic building blocks of commerce. Things packed in boxes, on pallets, or in drums. This is the container that moves most of the stuff in our lives. But what happens when your cargo isn't just, simple stuff? Well, that's when you need to open up the specialized toolbox. Let's take a look at how this toolbox expands to solve some very specific and very tricky problems. All right, here's problem number one. This fruit needs to travel thousands of miles across all kinds of different climates for weeks at a time. You stick that in a regular steel box, and it's basically going to cook on the journey. So how do you solve that? The solution is this: a refrigerated container, or as everyone in the industry calls it, a reefer. It's pretty much a giant mobile refrigerator that plugs right into the ship's power supply to keep everything inside at a super precise temperature. And get this. The level of control these things have is just wow. It's incredible. They can maintain any temperature from a deep freeze of -25 Celsius all the way up to a pretty warm 25 Celsius. That kind of precision is exactly what lets us move everything from frozen fish to delicate flowers all over the globe. All right, on to the next challenge. Your cargo isn't delicate, it's just massive. I'm talking construction equipment or huge industrial parts. You can't exactly slide something like this through the back doors of a normal container. The solution? You basically just get rid of the walls and the roof. This is a flat rack container. At its core, it's a super strong floor with two end walls, and it's designed specifically for cargo that's oversized, or what the industry calls out of gauge. And the design here is actually pretty genius. Without the sidewalls, you can load cargo that's way too wide. The end walls can often even collapse, which lets you transport things that are much longer than the container itself. And its reinforced base can handle an insane amount of weight. We're talking over 45 metric tons. Okay, here's another puzzle for you. Let's say your cargo fits inside the normal dimensions, but it's so heavy or shaped so awkwardly that the only way to get it in there is to drop it in from the top with a crane. What do you do then? For that, you've got the open-top container. It's almost identical to a regular container in every way, except, well, it doesn't have a solid steel roof. Instead, it's covered up with a heavy-duty, totally removable tarpaulin. It's such a simple idea, but it's totally brilliant. The crew can just take off the tarp and the support bows, lower in something like a tall piece of machinery, and then seal it all back up so it stays weatherproof for the trip. It's the perfect fix for cargo that's just too awkward to load through the doors. Okay, one last problem for our special toolbox. This time, you're not shipping a solid object at all. You need to move a liquid, and a whole lot of it. You can't just, pour it into a regular box. And that is where the tank container, or tanktainer, comes in. It's a special tank built right into a standard container frame.
And that frame is the key. It's what lets it be lifted, stacked, and moved just like any other container on a ship, train, or truck. It is a fantastic piece of engineering for moving everything from wine to industrial chemicals.
But the innovation here isn't just about the shape of the container. The industry is also making some huge leaps forward in the actual materials they use to build them, with a big focus on efficiency and sustainability. Just take a look at the floor, for example. Traditionally, they were made from tropical hardwood, which can take 60 years to mature. But today, a lot of new containers use bamboo flooring. And bamboo is a type of grass, not a tree, and it's ready to harvest in just 4 to 7 years. It's a much, much more sustainable choice.
And it's not just the floor. Newer containers are being built with this high-tensile, light steel. It's a stronger alloy, which means you can use less of it, shaving off about 550 kilograms per box. Now, 550 kilos might not sound like a ton, but think about it. On a ship with 10,000 containers, that's a massive reduction in weight. And the result? A savings of 1 to 2 tons of fuel per day, which translates to a huge cut in CO2 emissions.
So we've seen this incredible global toolbox, right? Filled with all these specialized, innovative containers. But here's the thing. Picking the right box, that's only half the battle. The final, crucial piece of the puzzle is knowing how to load it correctly.
There's a real science to what's called stuffing a container to make sure it's safe and stable out on the open ocean. It really all just comes down to physics. You've got to spread the weight evenly, putting the heaviest stuff on the floor to keep the center of gravity low, and probably the most important rule of all, never, ever go over the maximum gross weight that's marked right there on the container door. It's a critical safety measure for the crew, for the ship, and for the cargo itself.
So, from that standard dry box to the high-tech reefer, from sustainable bamboo floors to the physics of packing it all in, the modern shipping container is so much more complex than it looks. It's a true masterpiece of logistics. So, the next time you see one of these boxes on a truck or a train, just take a second and think about its story. Where has it been? What's inside? And what incredible journey is it about to go on next?